New York City's socialist mayor Zohran Mamdani goes on CNN and vows to usurp Donald Trump's presidential authority by threatening to arrest Israel's Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu and Vladimir Putin if they step inside of New York City. And the CNN host is rightfully terrified, because if Zohran decides he's actually in charge of United States foreign policy and arrests Vladimir Putin, that would drag the United States into a full-blown war with Russia. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. This is an insane video, so make sure you watch till the end. And October's back, baby, so you know I had to bust out the Dodgers hat. But first, let's hear about Zohran's plan to spend $65 million of New York City taxpayer money on free sex change operations.
And one of the things that we've said, beyond saying that we're going to make this a sanctuary city for LGBTQIA+ workers, beyond saying that we're going to establish an office of LGBTQIA+ affairs, is also that we're going to provide $65 million in funding for gender-affirming care, the same amount of funding that the federal government threatened to pull out from local providers for that kind of work. And in this moment especially, if we want to fight the Trump administration, we have to do so by fully funding our own services, taxing the wealthiest New Yorkers and corporations here.
Now, if you couldn't tell, the person that he was talking to was a man pretending to be a woman. Zohran has also promised to decriminalize prostitution, so when you combine that with his intentions to defund the police, it becomes abundantly clear his goal is to turn New York City into a crime-ridden, morally repugnant, hedonistic hellhole. Zohran perfectly embodies the Democrat philosophy that any kind of order, any kind of structure, any kind of law enforcement is inherently oppressive and authoritarian. They believe any kind of rules infringe on an individual's liberty, and people should just be allowed to do whatever they want, behave however they want, no matter how depraved and morally bankrupt. But now let's get into this insane CNN interview where he vows to arrest the leader of Israel and the leader of Russia if they come to the UN General Assembly in New York next year.
So Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is visiting the White House as we are talking today. He addressed the UN General Assembly here just a few days ago in New York. Now, the International Criminal Court has a warrant out for his address. They say that they accuse him of crimes against humanity. You have called, as I mentioned, Netanyahu's actions in Gaza genocide. It's going to become not just a rhetorical, but a question rooted in reality if you are mayor. As mayor of New York, you will oversee the next UN General Assembly, right, if you're mayor. Will you abide by the International Criminal Court? Will you have Prime Minister Netanyahu arrested if he's here?
Look, I've said time and time again that this is a city that believes in international law. This is a city whose values are ones that deserve to actually be reflected in our commitments. And I think that our city should uphold the warrants the International Criminal Court issues, whether it be for Benjamin Netanyahu or Vladimir Putin. And also, I am not Donald Trump. I will follow the laws as they are, as opposed to bend them to my own will. So we will pursue every legal avenue to ensure that that accountability is present.
This is the problem with Democrats. Their parents never told them no. Now they're fully grown adults who believe that their feelings supersede everything else and dictate reality. If Zohran Mamdani sent the New York Police Department to go arrest Vladimir Putin, not only would there be a massive shootout with his security, but Russia would probably send missiles at America and the rest of Europe in response. Ladies and gentlemen, understand this. A foreigner from Uganda thinks that his beliefs give him the right to usurp the president's unilateral authority in dictating foreign relations. He thinks he's entitled to uphold some meaningless international criminal court warrant and drag the United States into a major war with Russia, all because he thinks it's the right thing to do and wants his radical leftist America-hating base to be satisfied. And because it's New York City police, Donald Trump wouldn't even be able to pick up the phone and tell them to release him. He would have to send the United States Army into New York City to fight against the police department to release Vladimir Putin. It would be the most catastrophic thing we've ever seen, all because some foreigner from Uganda who openly hates America, capitalism, white people, and everything we stand for wants to virtue signal to show just how much of a humanitarian he is. But let's watch this next part of the interview where the host asks him about all of his communist policies and proceeds to ask him if he's a communist, and his answer is just breathtaking.
He has attacked you personally and publicly like this.
He's not a socialist. He's a communist, okay? This is not a socialist mayor. This is a communist.
I don't like to see a communist become mayor, I will tell you that.
I call him my little communist. He's my little communist mayor. We should never be in a position where we're talking about a communist.
We're going to end up with a communist mayor. It's not even believable, my beautiful New York. I think if a communist takes over New York City, I think that's a gift to the Republican Party.
Last time you were on this program, you were unequivocal in saying you do not like capitalism. But Trump, just in those remarks there, I counted, called you a communist 8 times. Are you?
No, I'm a democratic socialist. I've said that time and again.
My, what big ears you have, what big eyes you have, what big teeth you have. You wouldn't happen to be a wolf, would you? And Zohran just goes, no. I'm a cute little puppy. I'm completely harmless. And Aaron Burnett just accepts it with no questions asked. The left does not understand the basic reality that all normal people acknowledge. It doesn't matter what you label yourself or call yourself or say about yourself. Your actions determine who you are and how people perceive you. They'll say Antifa can't be a bad thing because all it means is anti-fascist. And being anti-fascist is the most American thing you could be. But ignore what Antifa actually does, which is violently attack political opponents and law enforcement. They reject freedom of speech and violently intimidate anybody who disagrees with them. They openly and proudly state that their mission is to overthrow the United States federal government, destroy capitalism, and replace it with communism. It's the same way they'll accept a man pretending to be a woman as an actual woman simply because he calls himself a woman. Democrats believe they're so superior, they're so enlightened, they're so transcendent that they can bend reality to their will. Democrats truly believe that reality does not supersede their artificial labels. And that's how Zohran, despite every policy he has being radical Marxism, can just smile and smirk and say, no, I'm a democratic socialist. I'm a tiny little harmless puppy. I'm not your enemy. And Aaron Burnett just goes, I guess that's true because he said it's true. But Zohran continues to insult America by quoting one of our great leaders in history and then weaponizing his words against us.
What I've found is that this vision of democratic socialism, it's one that often comes back to what Martin Luther King said decades ago. A vision of, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism, there must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. Here in New York City, wealthiest city in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, 1 in 4 are in poverty. 500,000 kids go to sleep hungry every night. It's untenable to live with this kind of a divide. We have to actually have a politics that puts working people first.
I find this incredibly insulting when the Zohrans of the world, when the Ilhan Omars of the world come to our country from some third world country and tell us how the Constitution should be interpreted, what our great leaders meant when they said this, what the American dream is actually supposed to mean. America seemed to be doing just fine under our own philosophy and understanding of these concepts. But these people flee here for refuge from their failed states and have all of this unsolicited advice on how we need to change things here and implement the same exact policies that destroyed their home countries. Don't use the words of Martin Luther King to implement your communist agenda. That's basically him saying, look, I'm more American than you. If you disagree with me, then you actually disagree with Martin Luther King, adorning himself with an endorsement from a dead civil rights leader to try to emotionally blackmail American citizens. But the last thing I'm going to show you is Zohran going on The View and getting called out for being an anti-Semite.
Yes, Assemblyman, you're running for mayor of New York and not prime minister of Israel, but you've made inflammatory statements like calling Israel an apartheid state and questioning its right to exist as a Jewish state. Just this week, you were evasive with a reporter about condemning Hamas. Given New York has the largest Jewish population outside of Israel, why should voters who see this as a moral red line trust your clarity and judgment?
Well, I really appreciate this question and an opportunity to just clear up, I think, a number of misconceptions. First and foremost, you're right. I am running to be the mayor of the city, and this city will be the focus of my administration, ensuring that we make this a city everyone can afford and everyone knows that they belong to. And also, Millions of New Yorkers, myself included, care deeply about what's happening in Israel and Palestine.
Again, Zohran threatened to arrest the Prime Minister of Israel if he comes to next year's UN meeting. He won't condemn the use of the phrase globalize the Intifada. He said he's going to tax the white residents of New York City more than anybody else. He said billionaires shouldn't exist in the city that has the most billionaires in all of America. He says he hates capitalism and wants to replace it with radical socialism in the financial capital of the world. He wants to defund the police and legalize prostitution and drug use. He wants to spend $65 million of taxpayer money on free transgender surgeries and another $100 million for free legal services for illegal aliens in New York City. This is by far the most anti-American politician we have probably ever seen, and yet he is going to be the next mayor of New York City. That says a lot about the citizens who live there, and unfortunately, they are going to get exactly what they voted for. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Go Dodgers.